I'm one of the GECO steering committee. I'm joined with some of my colleagues here from the committee. This is going to be our first of a number of webinars, really, to start just keeping in touch with everyone, trying to establish if you've had any challenges at the start of the study, and really keep in contact to make sure that between us all, committee collaborators, national leads, hospital leads, that we're really maximising this opportunity to really build on the data, build the project, and make sure that it's a great success for everyone. So people are gently filtering in through the waiting room, and the plan of action today is that I'm going to give a quick presentation about how we're getting on, a few challenges that people have faced, and then we're going to move on to a quick presentation, pre-recorded presentation directed predominantly at our hospital leads about how they can facilitate maximizing their teams, data entry and registration as a whole. And then we're going to move on to a more collaborator focused tutorial from Wehan, who's going to take us through RegCap and how we can upload data accurately, succinctly, just so you know how to do that. And then finally, really sort of an informal open forum to see if anyone has any questions or challenges. Equally, feel free to pop any questions in the chat, and my committee colleagues will gently filter them through, and we can hopefully answer everything for you. Okay, so I mean, the study's made a great start over the last couple of weeks. We're just moving into our second data collection period. As you know from all of our tweets and emails, that I mean, the number of centres that's being registered is really incredible. We've had over 2,000 centres registered. Certainly for period one, we've had nearly 300 centres already starting to input data into the RegCap system. And I appreciate there's a lot of you out there, because of your ethics and the recent delivery of the DTA, doing some recording on paper. But we've got nearly 2,000 patients already registered into the RegCap system. So I mean, the project really has hit the ground running. So Sivesh is kindly running some polls in the background for us. So if you could kindly, when you get a minute, continue to fill those in, just to help us really see if there've been any challenges, how you're getting on and things. So thanks for that, Sivesh, and we'll come to that shortly. So I'm going to start sharing my screen now and run through a quick presentation. Okay, very good. So as I mentioned, we're just moving into our second data collection period. Things really are moving from strength to strength, and we're having registrations for new centres coming every day, and the clock's really ticking up with regards to how many patients are getting into the database, which is fantastic, because as you know, really the strength of this project is the strength of our collaborators and our teams, and we know it's a huge effort from you all that is really going to be the success of this project, and be a success for every one of us. So I mean, more focus at the hospital leads. I mean, it's really important that you confirm your email, so we're contacting the right people, not sending emails into the ether. I appreciate some of the things that I'll gently mention here may seem obvious, or may seem that I'm telling you things that you would already know as competent and capable clinicians. Some of the committee members are dutifully running our GECO email inbox, and some of the things that we're bringing up to you now have been mentioned on more than one occasion, really. So as much as it does seem straightforward, it's just a recap for everyone, useful for us as well, really. But it's important that everything's accurate and ironed out with your local approval. I appreciate some countries will have overarching national approval, and that's great if you can do that. Certainly registered on our GECO website, which I'll show you the email for the details for shortly, for countries such as Kazakhstan and Spain. I mean, I appreciate you've got a national overarching ethics, and that's some of the details there have been uploaded to our website. So the key points really are that you can have up to 5 collaborators per period. Certain collaborators can do as many periods as they want. We appreciate that many of you work in very large institutions, and it's important that through that we give you the opportunity to share the data collection across as many colleagues as possible, really to enthuse and drive your teams so we can get as much data collection as possible. The site survey really is key, and in our video tutorial for your hospital leads, we'll show you exactly where that is. Infrastructure and the variation in practice across all of our centres. I know certainly even within the UK and locally here in the West Midlands that there is some moderate variation in infrastructure and practice. So I'm sure that's going to really be increased on a global scale and probably form the basis of one of our key initial publications. So please start filling that out. As you know, we've sent the DTAs out to everyone now, and hopefully that's allowing you to get all the ethics and everything approved at your local centres. But of course, depending on your country, you will be allowed to collect your data on paper and upload it on RegCap when everything is agreed in your hospital. I appreciate for certain countries that may not be feasible. I know Australia is an example of where that's not allowed, but just double check with your national leads, probably in the first instance. If you do have any queries, we're always keen to hear from you, just to make sure everything's nice and settled. So just email the GECO inbox. Commonly, we will be CCing or including in our responses your national lead. So if it seems strange, there's an additional name CC'd into the email, the likelihood is that's your national lead, and we'll highlight that in our email responses to you, because they'll have a good knowledge of how things work for you, because as you can imagine, certainly here in the UK, we don't know the nuances and the differences in every country with regards to your ethics plans, but we are trying to learn, we are trying to update that for everyone. It may seem silly, but again, we've noticed from our collaborators in our emails that a lot of, sometimes depending on your email type, it's going to the spam. So please do just double check that when we're corresponding with you. Other key details that you probably know about that may be useful, on the GECO website, on the NIHR website, we'll post that address in the chat. I'll do that later when we're going through a few of the other presentations, but it's got some key and useful information such as the study protocol, the data dictionary. Equally, we've translated our protocol into a number of different languages, and that should be available for you. Just please check the website. If your language or your country's isn't there, then potentially some teamwork may be possible between your national leads and yourselves to hopefully get that translated, and we can work on building that in the future. But just a few little bits here that we've noticed have been happening or been emailed to us a few times. We here in the UK, our trainee doctors often change hospitals in August and October, and they've often been keen to be part of the study in different institutions. They're more than welcome to participate in different periods at different institutions. Just get them to email into us and we'll be able to put them in contact with the hospital lead or help them establish their new centre and register it with GECO. We in the UK register the GECO study as service evaluation audit, which doesn't specifically need IRB approval or research ethics approval. It is registered with our audit departments, but I think I would default again to your national protocols, which you'll know probably better than us. The data agreements have now gone out. They can't specifically be individualized to each of the 2,000 plus centres, but hopefully that should be sufficient for everyone. With regards to if cholecystectomy is performed as part of another procedure, the key point really is that the cholecystectomy was the primary indication for the patient going to theatre, not, for example, if they were having another procedure such as metastaticectomy or having a cystectomy. Start collecting data as soon as you've got ethics is the key point. And another important thing really is that this is an observational study. It's very important that you don't, or as part of our guidance really, that you don't start adding additional follow-up that you wouldn't have done as part of your normal practice prior to the start of GECO. I mean, one of the real strengths, I think, of this project, and something that we as a committee are particularly interested in, is sort of in addition to the short-term follow-up, that we'll be following up patients at a year. And that data will only be in the case of people who naturally come back to your hospital for complications related to CBD injury or incidental gallbladder cancer. But they're going to be two really interesting things that we'll get a real global perspective on. Validators, I mean, having done a number of collaborative projects in the past, national and international, some of the challenges with regards to the work have been ensuring that the data is accurate, and we've introduced, as have some other studies, data validators who, it's important, are independent of the data collection. They shouldn't be putting in data, they should be separate, but to then have an overarching screening and checking that everything is accurate. And they, like the local collaborators, will be honoured in the corporate authorship, in the collaborative authorship model, which will be important. So these are the things that I'll just put in the chat shortly. We'll be continually building on our frequently answered questions page. So if we keep having repeated questions of a similar nature, some of the things about authorship, for example, we're going to put those into on the website, just so you can have a quick look and things like that. So I think that's it initially from me. We're going to gently move on, and we're going to show you a video now. This is directed mainly at the hospital leads and how REDCap works for them. And then we'll follow on for a more collaborator specific thing. So thanks, guys, and we'll move on to that. Sivesh, do you have that available at the minute?
Yes. So thanks, Rich. So I think looking at what everyone responded to the poll, I think out of 20, there's about 6 of you still have not got onto REDCap to register your team. So I think this will be highly relevant for everyone. And I think whilst you're listening to the video, I'd encourage everyone, if you have any questions, to have a think about it, and then we'll start going through them once we've gone through this demo. So I'll encourage you to watch this, and hopefully it wouldn't be too long.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Serge. I'm one of the steering committee members, and I've got Wehan here today, who's also a steering committee member.
Sivesh, it's gone mute for me. I wonder if that's the same for our colleagues. Could you just...
Yeah, I think you need to unmute yourself for the video.
And then you will come up to this interface.
Much better. Thank you very much,
Sivesh.
Sivesh.
It allows you to see all the different projects, all the different records, and you may or may not see some of these applications on your page. What you should do is you should go to the record status dashboard. Once you clicked on record status dashboard, you will see only your record ID that corresponds to your hospital. Now, Wihan and I can see all this because we are the steering committee, so we have access to everyone's record IDs. So say, for instance, you have your record ID that is labeled AE1385 that is specific to you. Everyone will be different, so don't get worried. You should click on the mini team application portal. And once you come up to the mini team application portal, you should select your hospital that it should be that you're registered in. So for instance, just say, for example, just say I'm in Birmingham, so I would type in Birmingham and I type in Queen Elizabeth Hospital. You would then be taken to the next step of study approval. Now, you then have these 3 items for you to select. We are hoping that most of you will be in the second or third option. Now, if you are still in the process of getting your ethical approval, you can still start the process. You do not need to wait, which is what we advise. However, we have put a clause here that you should have your approvals before uploading data formally onto RedCap. So you need to click that yes to say that you will have your logins in your ethic approval in place before uploading data. So then you, as a hospital lead, would need to fill up your name and details. And then you can click how many periods you would like to contribute. Ideally, we want you to contribute to every single period. But obviously it depends on team constraints, etc. So when you click a certain number of periods, a pop-up will appear for you to confirm how many team members you'd like. And it's also important that you fill up a named independent data validator so that they can go back and check the data. I'll stop there. And Wihan is acting as hospital lead today, so he will sort of ask if there's any questions.
So I think I'll just stop it there because a lot of the questions that Wihan is asking is related to some of the questions that Rich have already identified. At this stage, has anyone got any questions about registering your teams locally or using RedCap? Just feel free to put your hands up before we move on to the next stage of this. Claudia, did I see your hands up? Yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to know because I registered more or less the same teams in all. We want to take 6 periods. Is that okay with you or not?
Yeah. No, I think 6 periods is completely fine.
And it's more or less the same. It's sometimes when someone is on vacation that I didn't put them in. And am I, as a hospital lead, also able to take part in the data collection?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's I think I read it, but I wasn't sure. Thank you.
Sorry, Dr. Claudia, just to add into Sylvester's point. So if you want to participate in data collection as a hospital lead, you will need to put your name under the data collection registration, because as a hospital lead, you won't actually automatically have privileges unless you put your name down as part of the team, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that's great that you tell me that. Thank you. But we're documenting on paper first because it takes 2 or 3 more weeks for the ethic anyway. Thank you.
Rizwana? Rizwana, you got your hand up?
Hello, hi. I didn't find the RedCap login. I don't have this one, the RedCap.
Okay, Rizwana. What we'll do is we'll look up your details and then we will reset your login and we'll drop you a line, the email that you have registered in. So we'll sort that out after the meeting. It's
okay, sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah, fine.
Thank you. Has anyone else got any other questions they would like to ask before we move on to Wihan, who will talk briefly about the data collection project? Yeah, Wihan.
Yep. Hi. Sorry. Hello. I think might be cutting off a bit. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay. Great. I'm gonna share my screen now. So let's see. Can everyone see my screen?
Looks good, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So hi guys. So I'll now be going through a data collection. So I am aware that, as mentioned just now to Dr. Claudia, that most of you here may be hospital leads. So the first thing you do as when you log into RedCap, if you want to upload data, is to, when you log in, you get the screen here. So keep in mind, you, as a hospital lead, you only have EOI and team registration unless you've put your name down as the team members.
Non, c'est beaucoup plus, il faut éviter.
Gonna mute. Okay. Yeah. So as I've mentioned, unless you've put your name down as part of the mini team that collects data, you will not have access to Gecko data collection. So assuming you've put your name down and as part of the mini team to collect data, if you want to collect data, the first thing you want to do is just click here, and it will bring you to this page here. And what you want to do if you want to add data is you click on Record Status Dashboard here on the left of the screen, and it should bring you to the page like this. So I have administrator privileges, so I get to see everyone's record IDs, but as a hospital lead or a data collector, you will not have access to all of them, obviously. So don't worry if there's nothing that appears here if you've not added any of the patient records. So if you would like to add a patient record, you just need to press the green button here to add new record. So you press this, and it will bring you to this page here. So if you want, so there are different sections on the patient data form that you need to fill out. So just keep in mind that certain sections of the form, for example, 1-year outcomes, will not be available until the certain time frame has passed. So if you want to start on the form, you just want to click on this white circle here under status, and it should bring you up to this first section of the form. So I'm not gonna go through, I think, all of the form here, but I just want to bring to note some certain important functions. So for example, there are various icons over here in the first section of the form. So if you click this, you actually get to access different parts of the form. So for example, if you click on the globe icon here, it will redirect you to the Gecko NIHR page where you can actually access different documents and everything. And we click on this, I think it redirects you to our study protocol. And if you click on the green form here, it directs you to the CRF form, which is the paper form of data collection. So I would like to bring to your attention different detail options. So for example, if you see a circle option here, it just means that you can select one. So you can't select multiple options. But if you see like a square option here, you can select multiple instead of just one. So you're not constricted to different options if you see the square buttons, the square options here, compared to the circle ones where you can only choose one. So if you fill up, let's say you filled up the entire form, and you're at the end, you can either choose to save and exit the form. There are a bunch of different options we can choose as well. So if you click on the down button here, you can actually decide what you like to do with the form. So if you don't want any of your forms to be, like any of the information in your form to be saved, you can press cancel, and it will wipe out the entire information you filled up in the sheet. But if you don't want to do that, you can usually just press save and exit form. So I was going to ignore this because I've not filled up any of the things on the form here. But if you filled up everything properly, this should not appear. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it from me. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions?
Claudia, did you want to come in? No, sorry, I thought you had raised hands. If
Sorry,
anyone...
it's because I'm on the iPad. It's always like when I go to the chat button. Sorry.
Anyone would like to share their experiences or any sort of questions they'd like to ask? It's a session for everyone. It's a drop-in. It's a session for the hospital leads and collaborators. So it's your session. Feel free to ask any questions. Rich, did you want to come in?
Yeah, Sivesh, we had a question earlier at the lunchtime session about when did the data all have to be in, say, for period 1 or whenever period 2. Equally, Gareth Bashir's just asked you, hasn't he, on the chat, when does data have to be validated by? The data all needs to theoretically be in by the end of January. So although we're doing for the initial part, so although 30-day follow-up for period 1 will be before Christmas, you'll still have the opportunity to thoroughly check your data and ensure that it's complete up until the database closure for the short-term outcomes, which will be early in the new year. Of course, it's going to be really important that locally in your centre that you have a spreadsheet available that has your REDCap ID numbers aligned with your own hospital patient or unit identifier, so that you can come back at a later date and go through things to make sure clearly for the 1-year follow-up whether patients have had a bile duct injury or gallbladder cancer. So obviously keep checking things as you go through, validate things, your independent hospital validator should validate things when available, but it's really key that you keep doing little and often, so that by the time we get to the end of the short-term outcome completion date, which will be towards the end of January, that everything is tidied up and complete. Remembering that we'll be coming back at a year post-surgery to make sure that we've checked for all of our incidental gallbladder cancer and outcomes following serious complications such as bile duct injury. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Has anyone else got any other questions they would like to ask at this point in time? Has anyone had any issues with data collection or with any data points that they've had in period 1, for instance? Has anyone on the call done period 1 yet? No. Anyone? No. Okay, so I think there's quite a lot of things that we've discussed today. So I think that the key takeaways is about the REDCap logins and making sure that all your collaborators are completely well supported in accessing them, and also making sure your teams are well registered. I think there's a question previously as well about ensuring that there is, if we can have the same team members in all data collection periods. The answer is yes. So that's not a problem. There is a question from Dr. Quiroga, Rich. Maybe you could take this. Is there a way to register our own record ID to identify the patient 30 days and 1 year post-op?
When you not on REDCap, so we are not allowed your hospital ID on our REDCap system. It'll have to be on a secure information governance location at your own institution, so that you can marry them up at a later date. So it's key as part of our information governance, and that we don't have those details, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers your question.
And we have got Claudia.
Yes, sorry again. Is it possible to do the paper-based documentation in the REDCap afterwards, which would make it easier to, or do we have to upload them as PDF files for you? What is the...
So the best is to, you can collect the data on paper. That's not a problem. I think a lot of people are doing this if they still haven't got their ethical approvals done.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can upload the data points onto REDCap using the the project that Wihan was kindly sharing. So you basically create new records for every.
Okay. So then I could kind of do it retrospectively, so that because my paperwork, I would also do identifiers for the patients so that I can find them again. So this wouldn't be the thing that you would need. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So if you're sitting on paper, then you can keep your patient ID, but make sure that when you upload them, you put down the RedCap ID for that paper form on there. So when you come to do it 1 year later, you can just match them very easily. And I would encourage this for everyone else collecting on paper, that you record the RedCap ID on your paper or onto an Excel spreadsheet on a securely saved computer. And then we've got a question from Karina R. So Karina, if you wouldn't mind emailing us about that, we will definitely be able to help you out with that. We'll have to look at our records to see whether if you registered your team, and if so, is all the ORCID ID, everything all sorted out. Karina, so if you, I don't have your last name with me, so if you could, oh, you just spoken to
Sivish, I can handle this. Hi, Karina. So I'm the person that replied to your email. So I would like to just mention a few things. I think you've mentioned that you've changed the hospital leads for your center. So you need to email us if you want to change hospital lead. You can't just change hospital lead like on your own, because the record still stays the same as the original hospital lead. So if you don't do this, your authorship, your name will not be on the final paper. So you have to do that. I've seen that you've done that already. So we are changing the hospital lead right now. And I've mentioned just now in the previous part, you don't have access to team data collection. It's because you're the hospital lead, you've not placed your name in the data registration, so you will not get access to the projects, the data collection project. And one more thing is that I think you've mentioned on your email that you've not received your RedCap account. It's because you've just registered your members on Thursday, and we aim to send out accounts every 72 hours. I think we send out batches. I think we should be sending out the batch today. So if you've not received any accounts or anything to create your email by, I think, Wednesday, can you please drop us an email again and we'll look into it.
Wihan, we've got about from Karina again about period 1. Do you know if
so for period 1, if you've collected everything on paper, when you've get access to your account, you can just upload the period 1 patients. There will be an option for you to select period 1, and you can just upload them as per normal.
Okay. So I think we also have 2 national leads on the call. I'm not sure if Jose, if you're still here, and Gian from Peru. Is there anything that you'd like to add from a national perspective?
No, Sivesh, thank you. Yeah, I'm listening carefully. Just still having some people starting the process of, joining the GECO study. Just today, I received a couple more of hospitals in Colombia. So, I just want to know the most updated information to share with them. But it's okay. Everything is working on here. Thanks.
Thank you, Jose. And also we've got Gian Mendiola from Peru. Is there anything that you'd like to share from a national perspective from some of the discussion that we've been having? Gian, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Congratulations. Thank you for the webinar. Excellent information for all the participants. I think I have a couple of hospital leads in Peru that are in the webinar with us. Most of them are asking for the same, that they are waiting for the RedCap logins. So they have to wait for a while, as soon as I understand. And we will write you an email for specific hospitals that have some troubles with the logins, but everything's going fine. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. I think we've seen your email today as well, so we'll definitely get back to you on that front. It might just be some technical related issues that might be preventing you from having those logins. Has anyone else got any other comments they would like to make? You can unmute yourself and ask your question, or you can put it onto the group chat. I think one thing to mention, there are two themes, Rich, maybe for you, about what is considered an approval. Someone asked about would a yes on an email suffice, and also one was, what is, does a national approval suffice, or should it be national plus local approvals? What are your thoughts on that?
So I think this from a central perspective has been one of our big challenges, really, because of how widespread the study is now and how we've extended it all over the globe. I mean, we're now at 2,000 hospitals. Local, as in hospital specific and region specific within a country, and national policies vary hugely across countries. And what I would suggest initially is to check with your local audit or ethics department what their policies are with regards to when it is allowed to start recording data, number one, because what would be considered authorized here may not be the same in Ireland or France, let alone in Japan or Australia, for example. So, and as much as we're trying to learn every day the new policies of these countries specifically so we can advise you, I think you'll start with your audit department. Your national leads are going to be really helpful with that. If you're not sure who your national leads are, then just email into us at the GECO team and we can CC them into an email. They'll have a lot of experience about trying to help and coordinate things from a national standpoint. So number one, double check locally within your institution, liaise with your national lead. Any further problems, just speak to us via the GECO email and we'll do our best to help you out. But I think the most important thing is with any research or observational study or audit, make sure that it's approved locally, whether that's ethics approval, audit approval, whatever specific to you, because that's really important, isn't it, really, for our information governance and just through good, honest research. Thanks, Sivash.
Thanks, Rich. Any other questions that you like? If there is none, we might draw a line under the meeting and then close it to let everyone get on with their day, evening, as such. So any more final takes on questions? Okay. Or does someone want to say anything? No. Okay. All right. So we'll draw a close under there. Thanks everyone for joining in. We hope that you found it useful. Moving forwards, we'll certainly have more webinars moving forwards. We might have it maybe twice over a day instead of 4 sessions over 2 days, but we'll see what happens tomorrow and what the engagement is like. So thank you. Have a great day, everyone.